everyone.
Hey yo, what's good?
Welcome to episode 4 of the Overheard podcast. We are here at the Overheard Studios. My name is Dan Rudel. I'm here with my co-host,
Matty Rage, as always, what's good?
As always, it is Tuesday, February the 20th, 2024. We're here today for a very special episode. We're going to talk about a topic that's been on a lot of people's minds.
The old petition that's going around town that no one seems to really know exactly what it is or what it's for. I mean,
I feel like there's a lot of speculation going on about this petition right now. I feel like a lot of people are pointing the finger thinking it is just not open the pedestrian zone. But it goes a little bit deeper than that, and we will touch on that later. But welcome back this week. We want to offer our apologies for last week. For those that joined us live, we realized we did have a little bit of technical difficulties during that episode.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, we have no idea what happened there. But, growing pains, guys. You got to work through them. So we'll have that all sorted out for the next live guest. But
we're learning as we go here. So, our apologies.
We appreciate you all.
We appreciate you guys for joining us again. Mine did. Our last episode wasn't a home run. That being said, we will have Chris Symes back in the studio next time he's around and in town. We will get him because I feel like we lost a great chunk of that interview. I don't know. I'm looking forward to getting back into that for sure.
Oh, big time. Well, speaking of guests, we've got a banger this week because, like we said, the petition is...
So the petition's being led by a few people in town. One of them being our guest episode today, our guest interview today. We got Bunny Julius from Melissa's Mistake, which is, for those of you that don't know, Melissa's Mistake is kind of one of the restaurants that's on the corner of Banff Ave and Wolf, right in the middle of Banff Ave, in the middle of all the action in our beautiful town here.
Well, they've been around forever too. What did he say? He bought it in 2010, something like that. But
I'm not sure. He bought it a long time ago. Before that, he was a member of this community. So not only is he a business owner that kind of this whole pedestrian zone involves heavily as a business owner, as well as, a member of this community. So it kind of goes deeper than just business, I guess, Yeah,
it's good to hear his side as well, right? Like we're going to get into some pretty good topics, as you'll see coming up in the interview. Smart guy. He's got a lot to say, and he's been in the Valley for so long. I think he's been here as long as I've been alive, anyway. So
for sure,
he's got a good perspective on it. So it's nice to see that side of it, right? So
since I've moved to town, I've always heard of the infamous Bunny that owned Melissa's. Finally got to meet him this week. We did pre-record the interview this week. Unfortunately, he couldn't join us live, as you can tell. But yeah, we want to thank him for his time, for coming in and chatting with us. It kind of shed a lot of light onto what this is all about. And it's actually more than a petition. It's a plebiscite is what the legal term for it is. But we're going to get to that in just a minute. First off, we have a couple of stats from Banff National Park. You want to get into those?
Sure. So, first of all, Banff National Park's Canada's oldest national park. We all know this. And it attracted 4.1 million visitors last year.
Yep.
So when we were talking a population of, what did we say, 8-ish thousand, to have 4.1 million people come through is absolutely insane. And the
absolutely wild.
Well, the year before was 3.6. So we're talking another, 500,000 people that are coming through on top of the previous year, which was a year after COVID, when it was. I was certain that was going to be the last busy, crazy year. Everybody was all pent up and everybody wanted out. We're like, okay.
Yeah, COVID was kind of deciding factor. Same here. I thought it was either going to go one of two ways. It was either going to kind of die off and we're going to see a dip in tourism. During COVID, we saw a lot of local traffic, of course, people coming from within Canada. But yeah, the stat here as well is since 2010, the national park has received at least 3.6 million visitors per year. And that's a stat that I got from the Town of Banff website. So again, there's no surprise that the Town of Banff is looking for solutions to deal with tourism, the pedestrian zone being one of them. It's an ever-changing situation, like we've touched on in interview or in episodes prior. There has never been a summer that I've worked in Banff that's been less busy than the one before.
No, and it happens every year. The season gets longer, the shoulder season gets shorter. There's more people. It's crazy. Like even in the past 10 years I've been here, it's nuts to think 10 years ago, a busy day now. Oh man, it's just worlds apart, right? And that's only in a decade. So,
well, we just had a long weekend, so we just experienced kind of some levels of busyness, nothing compared to the summer. But we're going to touch on that a little bit later on kind of the impacts of having Banff Ave open versus close is. But let's get into this plebiscite a little bit.
Right, for the petition, right?
So this whole petition is actually a plebiscite. Basically, a plebiscite is a vote to which the people of an entire country or district express an opinion for or against a proposal, especially on a choice of government or of a ruler. So that's a definition that we got for plebiscite. And that's what it is, basically. This whole petition is trying to get enough signatures so they can bring it to a vote. Because currently, it's been decided by 7 members of council, which 2 have been outvoted. So it was voted
5-2.
5-2
5
by
to
the
2
council,
in favor,
basically.
right? So there's no evenness there. Basically, all the town council is just like, this is how it goes.
Exactly. So again, it hasn't been brought to a vote to the people of Banff. We are very aware that our town council is elected by the people of Banff. But at the end of the day, this is basically just to bring it to a town vote so that the people can have their say on this issue and not just have it be decided for us.
Right. It's just common sense, man. Everybody's so up in arms about it. I don't know why they just don't let us vote on it anyways. Just to get everybody to just, you know what, here it is. Vote on it. If it goes one way or the other, at least you voted on it, and there's like, I'm going to say there's nothing you can say. You know, somebody's going to say something about it either way, but it's kind of that, like, just, I don't know, man. Let the people decide on it instead of having the same 7 people decide everything. I mean, I get it, but I don't know.
100%. And I think for me, it's kind of, this plebiscite is good for you, whether you're for it or against it. Like, if you're for the pedestrian zone, you can go vote for it and you can win, and it can solidify its place within the town for years coming and for the future. And if you're against it, then you can go and have your voice heard, and then at least they'll have a more accurate view of what the town feels than a Facebook poll or a poll that they've taken in the pedestrian zone while it's closed to tourists and to everyone who's frequenting Banff Ave, which, you know, of course, they're going to love it. They have different issues that we don't deal with as people that live here.
Well, exactly. And it's not like it's cheap to close this down. Like, what did they say? What did they say here? Estimated cost of about $172,000 just to close the street. Well, like 155,000 of it comes from the patio permits and the parking revenue that they've got now from the past couple of years. But
100%. So the town estimates. Now I want to clarify that this is the town's estimation.
That's their estimation.
It is $172,000 to close the streets. Now there are some people, including myself, that feel it might be a little bit more than that, and we're going to touch on that a little bit later into the interview. But supposedly 155,000 of that 172,000 comes from the dues that they collect from the restaurant.
Right.
So that's for the restaurants having patios. They have to pay to operate those. They pay dues to the town, which supposedly covers the majority of it, with the rest being parking fees. Now, what I found today is that if the pedestrian zone goes forward and food patios are not allowed, then the total of that amount is going to be taken from the parking funds.
Okay.
So if they don't obviously collect money from businesses, they got to get that money from somewhere else.
Right.
The plan is to move forward and collect that from parking, which, hey, we have an abundance of paid parking money now. Why not use it?
If they want to close it down, then use that. Like, I don't know. Don't make us pay for it, obviously. But
I would agree with you there, especially with, again, I'm not in the housing market, but the property tax is going up, you know, almost double digits this year. Again, we'll touch more on that in the interview, but pretty wild that we're spending that much money to bring on more problems in the town, in my opinion, especially when it comes to traffic and stuff. Now, Parks Canada, again, they're not super down with the whole idea from what I've gathered, from what I've read.
Yeah, they're at it a little bit with the town.
Yeah, so again, the Parks Canada is not against a closure of Banff Ave or a closure of a pedestrian zone, but they're against patios. We have a little statement from Parks Canada here. It said that now that the unprecedented times are behind us, the proposed and ongoing commercial use, as in restaurants, outdoor merchandise displays, and use of public space, is contrary to the laws which ensure this special place is protected, and that both the town of Banff and Parks Canada remain committed, obviously, to protecting this place. Now, that is a quote taken from the parks warden. So that's kind of their stance on it.
Well, and just to be clear, that at the beginning there, where they're saying now that the unprecedented times are behind us, they're referring to COVID, right? So the whole reason that it was opened up in the first place, Banff Ave, was to provide the 6 feet of space for 40,000 friggin' people to be downtown, right? So
for sure.
And now that that's done, pretty much Parks Canada is just saying, well, we're going back to how it was, and that's kind of it. Like, the exception is over, right? Like, the exception to the rule is over now. So
I agree.
Back to it. But
it was written in the early 90s into the town charter that there is no more room for expansion of commercial use. Basically, we cannot expand the commercial land that is in use right now.
Right.
And basically, they had to rescind this in order to allow us to have more space for the closures due to COVID.
Right. Well, they also said as well that they're not opposed to restricting vehicle traffic in the park, right? So if we have to get to something, who is it in the States that does it? Yellowstone, I believe. If you don't get in by a certain time, they kind of close the gates. They go, we're at cap. That's it. Nobody else comes in. So
I did read a comment on social media. I want to say it was yesterday or the other day, and they suggested closing the other side of the bridge to visitor traffic. But again, like with all the, I don't know. Maybe we'll touch on that later. I don't know how that would be viable. But again, like to have to show a reservation or something.
Yeah, what do you do? Stop every car going across the bridge? Like that'd be insane.
I mean, you would have to show, right, that you have tickets to the gondola, or that you would have, reservations at the hot springs or something in order to get across, just to keep people from driving there needlessly. Because I feel a lot of that traffic is people just going to check out, like drive up to the Fairmont and then drive back over the bridge. But we'll talk about more of those traffic issues later. I do have a little response from the mayor that was kind of touches on that statement from Parks Canada, kind of their stance on where we're going with the patios, if you want to.
Right. Yeah. So this statement is from obviously Corey DeMano, our mayor of Banff here. We've been told the Parks Canada disapproval is not direction, it's suggestion. So she's obviously saying those are kind of guidelines, not the rules, essentially, is what she's saying.
So the quote that I found suggests that the Parks Canada opinion is just a suggestion, and it's not a directive.
Right. And then she goes on to say it's going to take time to resolve this. We've had patios on the road for 4 years, and in my mind, it is extremely reasonable to proceed with the patios for one summer while we continue to resolve this matter with Parks Canada. So basically, she's still going back and forth. She's kind of trying to buy time. She's just saying, essentially, just let us have it for this year, and then we'll try to figure it out in the meantime. And then what? Next year, can we just have it this year because it's not resolved? I don't know.
I think it's just trying to keep this circumvention of the original bylaw in effect.
Right.
I think once it's kind of done, it's a lot harder to reopen those gates, whereas now those kind of gates are open.
Right.
That's just kind of the way I see it. You can't really blame someone in that role for having that opinion. Of course, they want to expand the town. They want to expand tourism. That kind of looks good on their resume.
It's their job at the end of the day, right? Like but they're here to make the town money. They're here to figure out the best way to do that. And
I think one big difference to make is that pedestrian zone doesn't necessarily mean food vending patios.
Right.
Which I think is one big kind of line in the sand that has to be made. Like, I'm for a pedestrian zone. Does it have to be as big as the one that was previously presented? I don't know. Does it have to have patios? I definitely think not. That's just my personal opinion. I think the town of Banff is already doing well. We don't need to expand the footprint. And that's just for like my environmentalist in me speaking. Like, I just don't think that more outside use space is what the town of Banff needs or the town of Banff wants. It takes more people to man more space. And I don't think that should be a priority.
You got to have a place to put all those people as well. You can't just have all these extra jobs and open all these extra businesses with no people to work them. So
yeah,
there's already nowhere to live.
Anyways, some pretty interesting quotes that we found kind of from both sides. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know where it's going to go. It seems to be kind of at a deadlock. I seem to read the Parks Canada stuff as more than just a suggestion. I think they're obviously opposed to it. But again, back to this petition. That's what we're going to discuss, and that's why we're having it.
Right.
Again, mayor trying to buy more time in order to come up with more ideas on why to keep it open. I think maybe that's the wrong stance, but that's her stance. What's happened since then? Supposedly that the mayor and the superintendent Rashid have had 2 constructive meetings since January 11th that provide confidence that the gap between the two can be closed. Now, this is only one perspective. We have perspective from Councillor Ted Christensen, where I found this in the exact same article, that describes the situation a little differently.
I think the catchphrase of the day will be "See you in court," he said. And that's like, I don't know how it's not going to go to that if they continue with this. It's Parks Canada, and it's the government. What are you going to do? You're gonna just you can't argue with them.
Parks Canada supersedes all. And that's from Councillor Ted Christensen. He's one of the 2 councillors that is opposing the pedestrian zone. So I think we can kind of see a few conflicting opinions within our town council of how these meetings are going,
right,
and where the policy should go.
Well, we got people obviously definitely on both sides. If that's the stance that Christensen's taking, it's
for sure polarizing issue, not only within the town, but within the council, within everyone in the community. And like, I've signed the petition myself because I feel like more people should have a say than who's already had a say.
Right. And it's not even about closing it down or not closing it down. At the end of the day, it's the whole thing is like, can we at least just friggin' talk about it as like a whole town instead of have 5 people or 7 people behind closed doors just go, oh, this is what we're doing.
For sure. Yeah. And again, these people are voted in, so we kind of have put them there to make those decisions. But I feel like this is just one of those that requires more conversation. And that's all that this initiative is trying to force.
Right.
Is just force more conversation.
Well, and on that too, like we get it into it in the interview here so deep with all of this back and forth with these guys and business owners in town. And Bunny gives us a really good perspective on kind of his take on it, being a business owner in town and having a slightly different perspective on it than say, let's just say the random guy in town, you know what I mean? So
100% big part of why we wanted him to come in and talk to us about this is not only because he has a lot to do with the initiative, first of all, being one of the leaders and one of the guys who started it. But he's right in the middle of the action. He's right in the middle of the closure of, being a business owner, being able to open patio space.
He's directly in the center. His business is directly in the center of it. There's not really anybody else you can talk to with a better perspective on it, right?
100%. He brings his own opinion to the table just as I bring my own and Matt brings his own. And I think that's kind of one thing that I want to touch on before we jump into the interview. It's just that we don't have to all agree on this situation. I think, especially on the internet and just kind of social media and all this stuff, division, fire, fuels a lot of big fires these days.
Even in a small town like ours, right? Like it's everybody's kind of talked about it. Everybody that I know knows about the petition, but doesn't really know what's going on, right? Like it's everybody's kind of on either side, and it's just.
I mean, I think the beauty about this initiative is that everyone will get to have their say, and you can have your voice heard if you choose to. You know what I mean? And that's all that people are really asking for at this point, right? Absolutely. So we're going to jump into the interview here.
do it.
Again, this is pre-recorded a few days ago. Unfortunately, Bunny couldn't be with us here live today, but we want to thank him again for his time. And we'll be back with you shortly after the interview.
Yeah, that's good.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the Overheard podcast. We are currently in episode 4 right now. We have a very special guest with us here today. As always, we have my co-host,
Matty Rage, what's good?
and today we have Bunny Julius, owner of Melissa's Mistake and longtime Bow Valley resident. We're here to talk about the Banff Ave summer closure. You've been kind of spearheading this initiative. Do you want to get into a little bit of who is responsible for starting this initiative and kind of what it is?
Well, the initiative of the whole thing stemmed for a couple of years now, and it's kind of a disconnect on how things have been going between the town council and the residents of Banff. So there's a lot of residents in town that have felt that they have not been listened to by our town council, and everything has just been pushed forward without the proper avenues taken care of at this point in time. So Leslie Taylor has taken it with a lot of other residents to form the petition to have a discussion throughout the town and possibly a vote on getting Banff Avenue reopened to the traffic flow.
Awesome. So for everyone out there, just to clarify, this is not a petition or an initiative to end the pedestrian zone or to end, end what's been going on in the summer for Banff Ave. It's to bring it to a vote. So I think that's one of the common misconceptions that's been going on Overheard in Banff and just kind of on the internet as a whole. People have misconstrued this initiative as a bunch of people with pitchforks trying to stop what's been happening, but it's to bring it to a vote, right?
Right. It's a pretty big decision, right? Like
It's a huge decision. This is this decision will be forwarded for many years to come, and there's a lot of lying factors that haven't been addressed or taken care of at this point to be moving forward this quickly on something like this.
I would agree with you there. From my understanding, Parks Canada is for the pedestrian closure, but against the patio. So that's another kind of gray area that we've been touching on.
like, what's the cost of this? What does this cost in town every year? Like, it's got to be a decent price to have all that staff out there. The planners, the patios, all the extra infrastructure.
So, according to the town of Banff, it's $197,000 a year.
Okay.
Those numbers, I've been trying to get a hold of correct numbers for approximately 3 years and have been literally railroaded or denied by the town of Banff to get me those proper numbers.
Right. That does seem like a little low estimation when you think they have staff that's being paid to kind of man the bike valet and being manned, the ambassadors in the parking lot.
All the extra infrastructure for the buses as well.
The bike valet is paid for by Banff Lake Louise Tourism Bureau.
Okay.
Just to put that into perspective. However, every town vehicle has a fleet rate attached to it to pay for insurance, gas, all that sort of stuff. There is no fleet rates included in on the price. There is no town of Banff staff included in on the price. There's over 25 parking stalls on Caribou and Wolf Street. Visitor paid parking that are not included, which is approximately $250,000 worth of lost revenue to the taxpayers of Banff that is not included in all of that.
Interesting way to count things, I would say.
No doubt.
So there is $150,000 in patio fees collected from it, but that still goes, my rough number still rounds at about $600,000 minus the cash coming in from the patio zones or for the patio rentals, and we're still coming in around $450,000.
Wow.
Jeez.
For taxpayers to pay every single year when we've already had a double-digit increase of taxes 6 years in a row.
Right.
There's another one coming. I've read.
That's
Just under.
That's not
double digit, so let's not get carried away. It's 9.7.
Yeah, that's wild. What traffic issues do you think come along with the closure of Banff Ave, like how we've been doing it currently? What are the problems that are kind of associated with that in your perspective?
Well, we've taken a double lane both ways for the main avenue of the Banff National Park. It is called Banff Avenue, and it is through the middle of the town, but in reality, it is still the main artery of the Banff National Park.
Right.
We have put half of our citizens on that side. All of our attractions are on that side when you actually think about it.
Right, as far as town attractions, yeah, you're
Park
right.
attractions, Bull Falls, Springs, hot pools, Cave and Basin,
The Rimrock, the Fairmont,
everything.
right?
Everything. So we are pushing people over to that side. And you cannot expect to be putting delivery trucks. How many GFS, Cisco, Pepsi,
yeah, exactly.
Great.
all of those people are now pushed onto lynx, beaver, muskrat, otter, buffalo, single lane residential streets
Right.
that cannot take this.
They weren't built for that.
This
weight
town was not
limited.
built
No.
to have its main artery shut down.
I think I would agree with you there. Just being a frequenter of the alley, I know how hectic it gets there. Even on a good day when Banff Avenue's open in the summertime, that is
With all the
amplified.
trucks, for work and deliveries, it's crazy. And I think about the amount of deliveries we'll get at the restaurant just one afternoon. It's that many trucks having to go down that many side streets that many times a week.
It's a very good point that I don't think's really been discussed, is how all these businesses are still going to get their
Right.
services.
So, and then the town of Banff keeps bringing up various places that have pedestrian zones. Whistler, Barcelona, all different places. A lot in Europe, but every one of these places have been designed around this. Our town has not been designed around this, and
Right.
it's not capable of being designed around it.
Well, it was under my understanding that Bear Street was designed to
Right.
be a pedestrian kind of area.
Right.
I don't know. Personally, I'm for
I was
maybe
gonna
trying
say-
something new and maybe closing down Bear Street like they just recently did for the Winter
was gonna say.
Festival and have all the events done there. Give those businesses maybe a little bit of action that's been denied for the past few years.
That was the initiative of Bear Street, was to do that sort of stuff. Unfortunately, you can't close that road down very much because you have 3 parkades, one at each end,
Fair.
and you
Right.
have a surface lot of visitor paid parking that
Exactly,
we need to
exactly.
use as well. So, and that's the reason why I believe it's not a full pedestrian zone and more of a combination of both
Okay.
on that. But you're right. We spent, close to $12 million on Bear Street. What I call a Bear Street, the street that keeps taking. So and now we get to pay for snow removal every single year from door to door.
Yeah.
There's
By hand,
equipment
too, 'cause
that
it's
buy everything. So, but it was originally designed to attract people there. And then we turned around and did the exact same thing to Banff, and they didn't get a fair shake on Bear Street to figure out how that,
Right.
that road could work.
'Cause I remember when the development was taking place, they had the Devona or whatever it
Yeah.
was called. They had the big ads up and like, this is going to be the big, kind of pedestrian zone of Banff. And then obviously COVID and whatever, but yeah, it just seemed like it got kind of thrown out like to the wayside. They just,
It did. It
Yeah.
was designed to attract people off of Banff Avenue onto Bear Street
Right,
to
exactly.
alleviate some of the pressure. And now we're just want to
Redirect.
throw all the pressure back on Banff
Right.
Avenue. It seems like,
Seems like, yeah, going back
the rented stepchild.
very shortly after.
any positives to the closure? Like as far as pedestrians?
We know that
And-
the majority of the tourists and the visitors in town
for it.
enjoy it, absolutely, and we could kind of see why they would enjoy it, but at the end of the day as well, they're not the ones paying for it. They're not the ones
point.
footing all the issues that go with it. And you walk down that street any day that it is closed, 98% of the people are still on the sidewalks.
I think I would agree with you there, actually.
I know it's funny. You can kind of now after the second year, you can just ride your bike down there, skate down the street. You don't really have to worry about it because everybody's either still in the median or still on the sidewalks, and it's just I don't know.
I just don't see why it necessarily has to be Banff Ave. Like we have other spaces in town where we can direct people to. Like you said, most of the attractions are on the other side of the bridge. Why not some infrastructure maybe on that?
Now, they
side?
do have an issue with the amount of cars in town, and it's a valid issue.
100%. I mean,
But it's also predicted that Calgary is going to move to 3.5 million in the next 10 years, 12 years, in that
We
range.
got to think about that. That's more
And people are coming.
more and more.
They
It's
are
close.
coming.
Why wouldn't you? It's an hour and a half away. It's one of the most beautiful places in the country. Why would you come out here on a weekend and hang out, go chill down on Banff Ave? You know what I mean? I would if I didn't have to go to work.
I was reading some Town of Banff info today, and it was saying they're averaging 30,000 visitors on those busy weekends, the Thanksgiving weekends.
And, like, what's our population right now of our kind of
permanent population?
Yeah,
probably about 8.8 in that range somewhere.
So
now, keep in mind,
people, and then we're quadrupling our population every morning. And
infrastructure.
We don't have the
infrastructure.
We don't have
water.
Quadrupled the infrastructure it's insane.
I think the point is that those numbers are not going down. I know since I moved to Banff in 2009, we've never had a less busy summer than the one that came before it.
COVID, but
that is kind of the exception to the rule, of course.
Yes,
but and again, with COVID being the main point, this is when this whole project started, right? This is when businesses needed more space. It was great at the time. Is it something that needs to keep going? I don't think that the benefits outweigh the negatives, in my opinion. I think it seems that there's only a very small minority of companies that benefit from it.
Right.
And a lot of companies actually suffer from it.
So why do you think that the town's pushing for the patio so hard then? What is it?
I have no idea. I really don't.
Is it a revenue? Are they making that much money off of the patios?
We're losing money.
I was going to say, as far as I know, there's a one-time fee for the summer, right? That's
correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And does that added, like, I wanted to ask you specifically as a business owner in the center of all this Banff Ave craziness, don't you stand to gain as having more patio space? Like, why would you, of all people, be opposed to this?
I could. But I can also separate from my business and what's right for the town and what is not right for the town. The businesses will take care of themselves. There's people here. The businesses took care of themselves before COVID, before the street closure. Everybody did fine. It's just not right for our town. It's not right to be spending this amount of money on things at this point in time. Every community is trying to find ways to cut budgets and try to stop spending money. For some reason, our community just keeps wanting to spend more and more money. We have a beautiful town. Our attraction is the mountains and the national park.
Right.
And I think what jumps out to me is that's more of a response as a resident, not as a business owner. I really appreciate that.
You can do both.
For sure.
You can be a business owner and know what's right for the town and what's not right for the town. And that's why I can have a patio. If it goes through and Banff Avenue, we get the vote and the vote loses and it's going to stay closed and Parks Canada may or may not allow patios, I'll have a patio out there.
Fair.
My stand was for the 2-3 years, but if it's going to be a permanent structure out there, I'll put a patio out.
Yeah.
I'm forced to at that point in time.
Well, I guess to keep up with the rest of the, you're going to have to. There's no patio, street side patio. Maybe, those customers aren't coming in because right next door, there's 3 outdoor patios.
Yeah, exactly. So, and it does take more staff, regardless of what people say. Certain restaurants may not, but in general, when you're talking 300, 350 seats, whatever's out there on patios, it's going to take more staff.
Right.
I've been told on that note by a source that I will not name that about 12 seats will require at least one additional staff member, whether it be front of house, back of house. 12 around that area is kind of where every 12 more seats, you're kind of starting to add more staff into them.
I could see that, when you're talking on my restaurant with a patio, I need food runners because of the stairs. I need, so that's 4 people a day down there plus a food runner. You're looking at 5 people a day, days off.
And that adds up.
We're starting to look at another dozen staff.
Yeah. Do you feel it adds to your guest experience dining out on the patio versus in the restaurant? You have a beautiful restaurant.
Yeah,
they want to sit out on the street.
I don't know. You know what? That's up to somebody. That's up to somebody else.
Open and watch everybody cruise by, anyways. You know what I mean? Like
I don't know. I can't speak for everybody whether it's a better experience or not. Some people say, "Why would I want to sit out there and listen to the dinging of a bus going by every 4 minutes?"
In my perspective, it does diminish the experience quite significantly.
I don't. My personal opinion is the look of the Caribou Road is not what we should be going for. To me, it looks like the Calgary Stampede down there.
Yeah.
It's too congested, too busy, my
Yeah.
opinion, that is probably the one that doesn't look the best out of all of it.
You mean that little piece, just like where obviously your restaurant, we've got like what Coyotes, Toulouse down there. Is that the section or?
Yeah, Eddie Burger Bar,
Right.
Subway.
And it is crazy.
There's lots down there, but my personal view and a lot of personal views is that it's not a good.
The funneling of people out of there trying to get in and out of there sometimes is. Because last year they had it blocked off with the planters, so there was only, 2 spots where you could have people through, and it was just you standing there waiting for people to come out and people going in.
Think about Brewster Mountain Lodge. You can't get a tour bus to their hotel.
Right.
Fair.
Yeah.
Very good point.
Exactly.
Very good point. I don't know. In my opinion, it's like, why do they keep doing the same thing? Even though it's not perfect, they're not doing anything to change it. It just seems like they got the okay when COVID hit to bypass these land use regulations. Right.
Now they're taking it to the limit.
And now they're just kind of going with it. Like, I thought these rules and regulations were there for a reason, to protect our parks and protect the cap on business space. Isn't that a big part of it?
In general, in a nutshell. Mm-hmm. So it was brought in to protect the entire integrity of the town. It was deemed that this amount of square footage was the maximum amount the town could have in and still accommodate the staff, the infrastructure, everything else that goes along with it.
Right.
Now, if you exceed that number, you're going to need more staff, you're going to need more housing, you're going to need all this sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. So for the town to circumvent or try and find a loophole to get around that is defeating the purpose of why it was brought in for Parks Canada, and it was brought in to protect our town from imploding itself.
Right.
Yeah, great point. So again, the reason why these are being bypassed, we can't tell you. Hopefully we can have someone in from the town of Banff that can tell us eventually. But yeah, do you see any other options for pedestrian access in Banff? Or do you have any?
Personally, I think, I have nothing against an intercept parking lot and bringing people in and leaving as many cars out as we possibly can. However, where are we getting the land from? Parks Canada's made it quite clear that we have not utilized the property that we already have. Mm-hmm. We're putting garbage cans on streets that are taking up parking stalls. We put bike racks that take up parking stalls. We do all kinds of stuff to take parking away, and then we go to Parks Canada and ask, hey, we need parking. Yeah. Well, and we were supposed to have a parkade beside the fire hall.
Right.
Yet to be built. So I think until we actually, instead of trying to spend all this money on a pedestrian zone, let's take a look at how we're going to rectify some of our parking issues.
Well, even the train station, I never really see. I mean, I bike by there every day for work, and never really see it that full. It doesn't seem like it's.
I live right there, and I feel like it's a last resort. Like when the town is super busy on a Saturday or a Sunday, then yes, like. Right, when you see that lot full, you better watch out because town is bumped.
Oh, yeah.
Summertime, it's full almost every day.
Yeah.
Every day you go down there for 4 months, it's probably full almost every day. But let's remember that's not our parking lot.
Right.
That parking lot can go away tomorrow.
Exactly.
And now we're back in the exact same position we were before.
Right.
It definitely helps out, and it's a good thing.
100%.
However, we don't own it as a town, and we have no control over it.
So what about the train station development out there?
There again, I don't know much about it.
Right.
So they're thinking about doing a development with retail. There's a parking lot going there. It's going to be the north end of the train between. There's kind of like a big pile of dirt there now. So I think it's expanding the Fenlands rec area, expanding their parking lot.
They own that
to the north.
That's CP land already.
I was looking at some maps today, and it would take a lot of collaboration from CP and from a lot of other entities, it seems like. So I don't think that's a plan.
No, not particularly.
Is that
all that land is leased by Lyricon now. Okay. It is technically by law CP, but it is leased by Lyricon.
So that's all privately owned then?
For all of their stuff, yes.
Okay.
But the parking lot that the Finlands has now already belongs to them, and that is theirs. The only question I have is I just don't know why the town is so heavily involved in public input and holding forums and doing all this stuff for a private enterprise. To me, that sounds like it should be
not for Banff
Lyricon
Ave.
doing this, not,
Right.
they did it for Banff Ave. And that's when I think most of the residents got irate, because it was already, the fix was already in on that. There was nothing to rectify the issues. There was nothing. It was, here's our grand plan. Which one do you like?
It's already done. Type
Yeah.
thing.
Yes.
It's a done deal. Like,
And that's what drove a lot of people to start looking at the petition.
So we all just want to have a say, basically. That's what the petition's all about. Back to kind of some specifics about the petition. How many signatures are needed for this to move forward? And do you know, like, what are the legal implications of it?
So where the town of Banff is still going back and forth on how many is needed.
Okay.
We are going by the 2021 census, which is generally what all population caps are done by. It's the last recent census.
Right.
They are now saying it's the electoral count by the federals. So we're not exactly sure. It's going to be somewhere in the range of 800 to 1,000.
Okay.
So is what it is.
Oh, that's definitely doable.
So 10% of the population, population sitting 8.5, 9.5, somewhere around there. In there, we're not sure, because now the town has also canceled this year's census. So going back, going back in time, you're now going to still have to revert back to 2021, because that is the last legal census that we had. So
interesting move.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but whatever. That's their decision, and that's to be made by town councilors. I think if they would have had the census, it would have pushed us into the double digits on the tax bracket for sure. Right. So I think it has something to do with that. But our number has always been 1,000. Okay. The cap for the town is 10,000. So we went with 1,000 is what we're gearing for. So the last time there was a plebiscite, not quite like this one, but the last time we had a plebiscite, they threw out 421 signatures.
And for what reason? Just
they were just not done proper. So they'll go through it with a fine-tooth comb, and they'll try and throw out. Oh, really? They'll try to discredit everyone that is possibly on there.
So everyone listening out there, be mindful when you are filling in the petition to fill it out with utmost care, write legibly, and put in the proper information, because if you want your voice heard, it looks like it will be, like you said, combed with a fine-tooth comb.
And speaking of which, where can people sign a petition?
There's people going around door to door. There's 28 people collecting signatures in town. Cool. Or we may be at 30 now. People collecting signatures. So all these people have been vetted and have gone through the process of how to do things proper, so that we don't get these thrown out. This is a legally sanctioned petition, a little bit different than what the paid parking one was. So it is completely binding. It is, again, it doesn't close down the pedestrian zone. There are two options when this all comes to flight: is to rescind their decision on closing Banff Avenue, which we know the town of Banff will not do, or send it to a plebiscite vote. And then all the people of the town of Banff, legal residents of the town of Banff in Canada, will have a say and can vote on it at that point in time. And then whatever happens on that is legally binding, and they have to abide by.
And that's a big point to make. I feel like the numbers that I was looking at for the town of Banff seemed they had like over 16,000 people answer these surveys, and it seems to be a lot of visitors or people that don't actually live in the town of Banff.
16,000 people. There are 16,000 residencies.
Well, that's
available
kind of like.
I mean,
no. So the Tourism Bureau has gone up and down Banff Avenue asking people
that are on the pedestrian zone.
I asked the question: did you go up Buffalo Street and talk to the person that has been trapped in traffic for 45 minutes and knock on their window and ask them how they're liking it?
Not just the tourists or the people that are living there.
Yeah, exactly.
So there again, there are a little bit of skewed numbers in our point of view. And, in my point of view, I don't think the Tourism Bureau should even be weighing in on this decision. It's a political decision.
Right.
And they're here to attract people to the town of Banff and promote the town of Banff and Lake Louise.
Not to pass legislature for the town of Banff.
It's in their bylaws and mandates to stay 100% out of political decisions.
Right.
And I feel like, I don't know, with closing down Banff Ave, that might leave them more room for more budget or more Who knows? I can't speak on
How many more millions do they need?
Right?
When we're full.
It seems like we're, like I said, the numbers aren't
Well,
going down.
we don't have a capacity, like we don't have a cap limit here, right? So it's like when is
I don't want to see it, but I think it's going to come at some point in time. If you go to Yellowstone in August,
right,
and you get there at noon, you're not getting in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
gates are closed, done, finished. We're closed for the day.
Yeah.
And I'd hate to see it go that way, but we've already seen it at Moraine Lake. We've already seen it at Lake Louise, where we had to close down Minnewanka 4 times last summer.
Yeah,
because it was full, couldn't get anybody in or out.
Yeah, and that's crazy to think that whole loop gridlocked is.
Personally, I think they should try going one way.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Bike lane on one side, one way on the other side.
100%. Keep people from going against each other.
Yeah.
But that's
trying to turn around.
That's a Parks Canada decision, not a Town of Banff one. So.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, how far off are you? How many
rough numbers?
We're not far.
Yeah, nice. So it's going
close.
Yep, we got 3 weeks to go. Of course, the first 3 weeks, 2 weeks, everyone comes out with a bang, and now it's going to be, getting
push for the end.
We're pretty much there.
Nice.
But of course, we'd like to be around that 1,500 mark.
So people obviously want to be heard. People are.
And I've got people that are for the pedestrian zone, but they would also like to be for it with a vote.
Exactly. I mean, I don't think voting on anything as a town, especially something this big that has this much implication as far as taxpayer money, as far as quality of life,
right?
For all of us, not only tourists and locals alike, that we should kind of have a say.
Well, it's become such a hot button topic in town, anyways. Like, there's at some point, there's got to be some sort of leeway on this. You know what I mean? Like, it's after all, we all live here. We all make this town. It's our home. It's, you know what I mean? We should have some sort of say in a major closure of, the center of town.
Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of people that we've been getting a lot of feedback with the petition. There's a lot of people that are haven't taken too kindly. They're pretty fond of being part of the national park, and they haven't taken too fondly to the fight that is being picked with Parks Canada, our landlord at this point in time.
I don't understand why you'd poke them, but like I said, that's not. We don't have any details.
I feel like,
on
especially
that
if you want to operate and do different things, you'd want to have a symbiotic relationship with your overlords. Like, we can't do anything without the approval of Parks Canada for good reason, of course.
Exactly. I can't even live here without the approval of Parks Canada. So, what's like, if they ask for my proof of residency, what am I going to say? No.
Yeah.
I'm building a house here too. Like, you know what I mean? It doesn't make sense to me, but
it seems like maybe the town council could do stuff that us locals or members of the community just don't have the luxury of doing.
Yeah.
Just saying no to Parks Canada.
And one of the last lawsuits that Town of Banff and Parks Canada had when Parks Canada won, let's not forget that there was the addition to that stating that any further conflicts between the town and Parks Canada has the final say.
Oh, exactly. There's no way we live on their land.
So it's already set in stone. I don't know why going against would be a good idea. But
if the vote goes through, it'll be interesting to see what Parks Canada has to say. Very interesting.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know how this is going to all pan out.
Hold on to your hats. It might get interesting.
This might get a little heated here, but I guess stay tuned on that one.
Is there any way, in addition to signing the petition, that people can get involved with this cause?
Well, at the end of the day, if the petition goes through and it does go to a vote, everybody who wants their say needs to come out and vote.
There you go.
At the end of the day. If it goes through and Banff Avenue is closed for the next 20 years, then so be it. At least the people got a chance to vote.
Right.
And have their say.
Everyone out there that doesn't have their paperwork updated, if you still have your hometown residency on your IDs, go get that changed to your Banff residence so you can vote in this hot topic that we all want to say on.
If people don't want to sign the petition or have more questions, people will be going around, but there is also a copy during the day at Melissa's, and there's a copy at the Silver Dragon.
Perfect. So anytime during the day, you can go to Melissa's Mistake.
And that's right downtown.
Right in the center of town. Or if you're across the bridge, go to Silver Dragon.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, thanks so much. That was awesome. We got to hear some points of view that we haven't necessarily I heard from anybody in town yet that
I think, you definitely shine some light on what's happening. And we thank you for your time, for coming in and talking to us about it, shedding some light on this issue and where people can go have their voices heard. I think that's kind of the biggest thing.
Right.
No one's anti-pedestrian zone. No one's anti-development. We're just trying to have our voices heard. So we want to thank you again for coming in.
Not a problem. Thank you for having me, and keep up the good work. Good for you guys.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you so
Appreciate
much.
it.
Awesome.
All right. So welcome back to the studio here. Great interview. Great interview with Bunny. I just want to give him another big thank you from both of us here at the Overheard Podcast for just shedding some light on this situation and spending some time chatting with us about it.
No doubt. Really smart guy. I don't know how I've not met Bunny yet, but yeah, he knows his shit. He definitely knows his shit. He's been out here a while.
I think spoken from both angles of not only a business person, but a member of the community. I think
right.
We want to give him a big thank you. This is the most political activeness I've kind of seen out of the town. I feel like in a long time, this is kind of the biggest polarizing issue. I feel like since they reconstructed Banff Ave, I like the point that he made that even though the pedestrian zone is closed, the people are still walking on the sidewalks anyways. Which
true,
is a
dude.
very valid point.
They are. You go down there and there's still 40,000 people on the sidewalk. You could literally walk anywhere down there. They're just like, nah, yeah, we're not doing that. We're actually just going to go down the sidewalk here because, it's a sidewalk. You get run over on the street. It's like it's closed to traffic so you don't get run over on the street. It doesn't make any sense.
People are just like creatures of habit, and they just kind of want to gravitate to the sidewalk anyway.
Well, it's funny because you can go down Banff Ave, and like the center of Banff Ave is just like the alleyway now because no one walks down there. You could just go and shortcut. Everybody's all jammed up on the sidewalk trying to cut around everybody. It's like there's a whole road, like 4-lane road you could walk right on, but nobody gives a shit to do it.
It's crazy.
I just don't get it. It's awesome. Dude.
I don't know. To me, it just seems like the town is using this as kind of an excuse to expand its commercial footprint. And again, like you can't blame the mayor for having that perspective. Of course, like imagine being the young mayor that expanded the business footprint of Banff that hasn't moved since the early 90s. Like that's probably good to have on your resume, like I said earlier. So I don't want to be like super harsh on the mayor and be like, you're wrong, because you can't really blame someone in that position for having that standpoint. Now, my standpoint is a little bit different. I feel like the cap of business space is there for a reason. Like touched on in the interview, businesses will take care of themselves. I don't think businesses need more help in the town of Banff. It's like
any law. It's there because someone fucked up in the past, and now we have to make a law because someone ruined it for everybody else, right? So...
And I agree
with what it is
with the cap. Like, I don't think we need any more space. Like,
no,
we already have enough going on in this town. I think that reopening Banff Ave during the summer, like, I don't know, we had a pretty good example this weekend of what a busy weekend looks like with Banff Ave reopen.
That we were doing bigger than summer numbers.
Which kind of touches onto our first post. We're going to jump into some posts here. This one kind of ties into it as well. So we'll jump into that right now. So this post is from our most favorite page, Overheard in Banff, of course. Big shout out to Overheard in Banff. The post reads, "Boy, I'm sure glad that Banff Ave is open right now to deal with the traffic on Mountain Ave. Wait a sec." So I guess there was some traffic on Mountain Ave this weekend.
I read there was one of the comments to this post. Someone said they waited 45 minutes to get across the bridge, and it's going to jam up. It's the bridge, man. What are you going to do? There's all this tourist stuff, as Bunny said, across the bridge. All the tourist attractions are over there. All the people have to get over there. All the people have to get out of there. And then not only that, you've got a massive chunk of residents that live over there.
100%.
So when you're talking about getting to work on time, like what do? You leave 2 hours early and hope for the best. Like you might get there 2 hours early and then
is some infrastructure on the other side of the bridge potentially the answer? Because, I mean, that's the least developed kind of side of the town, right? They're kind of trying to do things everywhere else but there. I'm sure there's some wildlife corridor issues for that. But again, this weekend, like, I didn't think the traffic was that bad, in my opinion. I walked down Banff Ave specifically because I knew we were going to talk about this post, and I was kind of keeping an eye out. Like, yeah,
Was it nuts?
it wasn't that nuts. Like, sidewalks were full of people for sure, but they
Well,
always
that's-
are. Like, that's why they're there. That's why there's businesses on Banff Ave so that people can be funneled off the sidewalk into the businesses. That's part of the model. The traffic on Banff Ave itself was not that bad. Wasn't bad at all, in my opinion. I walked to work at 4:00, and I mean,
apparently the bridge traffic was bad, but I don't know. That is what it is.
I feel like the bridge
always
traffic
takes
is always the
forever.
bridge traffic, right? I mean, at what point do you stand someone on the bridge to make sure everyone has a valid reason to go across the bridge? Like, can you even do that?
Yeah, like like you said earlier, check reservations just at the bridge just to make sure that you've got a reason to go across there.
Yeah, the more I think about it, the more I think that's a pretty nuts idea. Like, what is this? You got to go through a checkpoint to go through the other end of town.
I know,
like,
yeah. Like
this isn't a war state.
You walk through. What are you doing? I'm going to the skate park. Oh, yeah, well.
Yeah, I don't
Like-
know. The more I think about it, that's probably a wild idea. But again, I'm sure the traffic on other streets like Muskrat and the adjacent streets to Banff Ave probably saw little to no traffic issues, whereas
Right,
when
because
Banff Ave's
Banff
closed.
Ave was open and
Exactly.
there
We
wasn't
had
all
that-
the traffic redirected down those side streets.
the
I
main
can guarantee
artery in
it.
the middle of town was open. So
Well, and we don't know, right? Like nobody said specifically that it was busy down there. So
I feel
who
like
knows?
Mountain Ave, there's always people that are just driving up to either the hot springs to not go in them or like
just to not go in them.
Yeah, like I feel like people just want to like they drive and they do the little loop at the Fairmont and then they drive back over the bridge and leave. And like I'm not living on the other side of the bridge, but that
No.
would be super annoying to have to deal with if you did live over there.
Well, I did for a year, and it did suck in the summer. It was quicker to just walk down through the rec rounds and be done with it, right? Like it's.
But I mean, that's
just
kind of how it's
stupid
always
over there.
been.
It's always been
Like-
that way. Like that was 10 years ago, I think. Well, yeah, that would have been my second year here, and so 8 years ago, it was still that bad. You still had to walk instead of taking the bus. I would take the bus home sometimes, but
I mean, over
No, it was
3
bad.
million guests has been a thing since 2010. So it's like,
yeah. What are we doing? Like I don't know. Something's got to give. Either
yeah, I don't know. It's like I think maybe some infrastructure on the other side of the bridge, or there was talk about another entrance on that side of the bridge, like I want to say a third Banff Ave entrance that would somehow take you maybe another bridge, like leading, I want to say, like Cave Ave, like coming in somewhere,
Oh,
Cave and
yeah.
Basin area or something like that. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Again,
I don't
I'm just
even know.
spitballing here. I didn't really research this at all. I'm sure it's all protected land, but there's got to be something else going on across the bridge. I think that would be my answer, would be infrastructure on that side.
Or maybe just don't let cars across the bridge at all.
That could be it. Make the pedestrian zone the other side of the bridge. You want to get to the hot springs, take the bus.
Yeah, I don't know. That's
People-
the only thing I could see is like don't let visitor cars cross the bridge. Really, like
The hotels might have an issue with that, but then again, like you only let the hotel guest cars through. That would be
I know. Yeah, and then you're still stuck between a rock and a hard place. There's nothing you can do about it.
so. Anyways, I don't know. This weekend I think was a good example though of having Banff open, and I don't think traffic was that bad. Not summer bad, at least. Parking lot was
and
full
we were
by
doing
the
summer
train.
numbers. It was crazy. Like it was
sure.
busy in town. I don't know about anybody else, but yeah, it wasn't slow.
I don't know, but anyways, yeah, it was a pretty funny post at the time to comment this. It got a lot of traction on Overheard. Lots of people
big time.
commenting.
Oh, it was great.
Some funny ones. I think monorail was a pretty funny one. Of course, referring to the train project, which promises more infrastructure on the
What
promise
was
of.
remember the gondola that was supposed to go?
That's
where
part
was-
of it.
Where was it from downtown to
That's part
Northway?
of it.
Was that
Yeah,
what it
that's
was? It
part
was
of it.
supposed to go all the way through downtown.
I feel like that is part of the train reestablishment plan. But yeah,
I mean, that could work.
again, we'll dig into that into another episode. That's going to necessitate a whole nother episode, just because of the implication of it. It's pretty big.
No
Like,
doubt,
I've been kind of doing some research, dibbling my toe in the pond of that kind of avenue, and it's it requires a lot. Like it's going to be a pretty big project. But
Oh, no doubt.
moving on.
Let's move on to something a little tastier here.
Oh, definitely a tasty one here.
Oh yeah.
We're
Here we
back
go.
to one of our favorite voting boards in the town of Banff.
yeah.
You know where this one's at.
Oh, we got best sushi in Banff. And then what do we got here for choices? We got Sushi Bistro, Hello Sunshine, Sushi Train, Arashi to Go, Tama Teriyaki, and IGA.
IGA, honorable mention.
I mean, hey man,
I don't think the IGA should be up there personally.
Hey man, when you're walking around IGA and you're like, what do I want? And you had a couple puffs and you're like, ooh, I could eat a little 8-pack of Cali rolls just for a little warm up for dinner. Just like a little palate cleanser before dinner.
I've definitely bought some grocery store sushi before, but I feel like it's a crime to let it make it home with you. You kind of have to eat it right there.
Oh no! The best grocery store sushi is it Safeway in Canmore?
That's where I've gotten it from.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, it's the only good place you can get it from.
Now, I was back at this this business today where this little thing was at. We got Sushi Bistro with 1 vote up on our board. Hello Sunshine with 1. It had gotten some more votes to it. Sushi Bistro was the clear winner, running away with like 6 or 7 votes. With Hello Sunshine being a close second. If I want to talk about my sushi choices personally, number 1, I miss the Samurai.
I was gonna say
Samurai was
hands down.
That was untouchable. Big shout out to Bucky, ran the Samurai. Absolute beauty. If you guys know that guy, give him a shout out around town.
It was amazing just going there and just sitting at the bar. Always get the bar seat.
Oh, always the bar seating.
Bar seating. You can sit there and watch him prep
Samurai sits closely in our hearts for sure. For current places, I think if we're talking Banff, Hello Sunshine's got to be my favorite. I think the quality there is superb. Honestly, big fan of the quality of the fish. And the service is pretty fun. It's a cool restaurant. I like the vibe. I don't know.
I'm just a sushi bistro, like just classic sushi bistro guy.
Bistro's pretty classic. It's a standard experience. You're going in, you know what you're getting. It's pretty.
It's good
on the nose. It's like it's a pretty standard experience. Hello Sunshine's a little bit more fusion. I gotta say.
Rashi to go though. Those the bowls.
Oh, the bowls.
Yeah, dude. Those are awesome.
I'll give you the Rashi to go bowl.
Chicken karage bowl.
Oh, that's got to be the one.
Straight fire.
The pork chashu one's pretty good as well.
The cashew pork one.
Yes.
Oh yeah, those are awesome, dude.
I got to give a big shout out to Rashi to go as well.
Where's Tama Teriyaki?
Tama Teriyaki's on Banff Ave. It's brand new. It's kind of, they got like
where?
I want to say teriyaki style tapas or something. It's like across from Ski Big 3, I want to say.
Oh, like where Skokies was.
Where the old Skokies was. Again, I
Okay.
haven't made my way there yet. If you've given them a try in the chat, let us know for sure.
I saw that the other day walking by. I just wondered what it was because it said something teriyaki, but
so who knows? Maybe next time this topic comes around, Tama Teriyaki or guys will be voted up more. I want to say honorable mention though. Wild Orchid out of Canmore. It's all gluten-free, 100% gluten-free. My partner's a celiac, so that that kind of hits. They got gluten-free soy sauce, gluten-free everything, so it's kind of fun to jump into somewhere where you can just order anything off the menu and know that there's no gluten.
It's probably
all you celiacs, all you gluten intolerant.
It's probably bomb too.
All you weak stomach people out there, go check out Wild Orchid.
Can't say that.
I'm just joking.
Oh God. Oh man. All right, you want to move it on to the next one? I'll let you take this one.
All right, the next one here. Move it. Oh boy. Now this
I don't know how the fuck this guy got down here. This is it. This is absolute insanity.
Yeah. Now, for those of us that are just listening here, you might have seen this video on Overheard Banff this week. Once again, big shout out to whoever captured this. We don't have the video. We got just a little still of it, but basically, it's a car that drove down the walkway that's on the right-hand side of the Banff sign, kind of adjacent to the road, thinking it was a road, of course, or maybe just trying to get a closer look at the Banff sign. Definitely not the right way. You can't park your car here.
This was also just an excerpt from a video. It was like you could see him driving down the bike path. I'm like, where the I just don't know where he would have got on that.
Again, another post that had lots of traction and some wild comments. Some people thinking that it was a Parks Canada vehicle. Upon closer inspection, though, it was definitely not a Parks Canada vehicle. I did read further down in the comments that apparently it was some like very elderly person who just happened to go down the wrong road.
Like, where did they pull onto that?
Because there is an opening, like
but there's big rocks in the way there.
I mean,
And well, then
in the
there's the
winter,
bridge. Oh, I guess right by the bridge there. You could,
yeah, like
dip
right
down.
by the bridge. I think like after that, you can kind of
Still though,
squeeze
that's
down in there, and
fucked.
it
I
might.
can't like. I mean, I get it. You're old, but like, what? Like, you don't notice not a single other car has gone down there.
Well, maybe a Parks vehicle had gone down there, so I don't know. I kind of am on the benefit of the doubt. Give the oldies kind
Oh,
of,
God.
maybe
Like,
they need an eye exam or something. But
it never gets old with these tourist driving memes. Like, it's
Yeah.
just baffling. It's awesome.
I love that we've had at least one every week. They're pretty consistent. Part of the fun that we like here on Overheard. So, if you're visiting the town of Banff, be mindful of where you're driving in the summer. I ride my bike down there all the time. I couldn't imagine coming face to face with some headlights.
I know. Like, I go for a rip out to the lake there all the time.
Yeah. So
If I saw somebody driving down there, I'd chirp them for sure. I'd have to say something. I can't. Like,
I mean, I would say something to be like, hey, yo, can't be here.
You can't be here. Oh my God. Speaking of, I have a really good dumb tourist moment this week.
Let's hear it.
Oh yeah, you're gonna. I haven't told you this one yet. So
Okay.
I'm on the way to work the other day. I'm walking and there's a group of like 3 guys in front of me walking, and like 2 of them had on like snow pants and their like riding jackets and like their shoes.
The old
Obviously,
fresh
like
from the hill look.
obviously like but they didn't have like boards, no boots, no nothing. They were just chilling. And then the guy on the far left has on full riding gear. Okay. Full jacket, mitts, gloves, helmet, goggles on,
Nice.
a fucking GoPro on the top. Listen to his goddamn footwear choice. Socks and sandals.
Well, I mean, I can get it. Maybe the boots are in the car. Maybe you're driving. Like, is he out on the town, like having a ball or what?
Dude, I followed them for like 3 blocks all the way downtown. They were in front of me like when I turned in a night owl, so I don't know where they were going. Like I followed them from like they must have come out from one of the hotels. I couldn't believe it. The kid just had like full goggles on. Like it was windy and cold enough that you need your full goggles and a ski mask and a fucking GoPro on your head, and but not cold enough that you're just gonna wear flip flops and socks outside.
Yeah,
like
that's
it
pretty
just,
strange.
I just didn't get it. It was insane.
Like, I know a lot of my skier buddies will sometimes wear flip flops when they're driving to and from the hill and stuff. But
Yeah.
like, maybe this dude just kept that spirit on for a super casual après.
I get it, but like
The helmet?
but the helmet and the goggles and the mask, like it was like it was like you were in Whistler and the kid literally just rode up and
Weird.
like put flip flops. I don't get it. It
One
right
thing-
downtown too.
One thing you can never account for is tourist style choices. For sure, a lot of these people might be from Texas or something, and they don't
like-
know like.
Like he was just going for breakfast like that. He's like, I'm just gonna GoPro our breakfast. Do you guys mind if I wear the helmet while we eat?
I feel like
you know what I mean? Like
I feel like the face mask or balaclava that's like a very clear tourist sign is like seeing people walk around town wearing the full face mask on when it's like
Yeah.
-5. It's
Yeah.
like, yo, bro, it's not that cold.
yeah.
But
Bro,
you
bro,
can't
it's
account
not
for
that cold.
people's style. That's a pretty wild choice though. I can't
Oh,
do flip flops
God.
in the winter myself.
Well, kind of talking on that point about trying to get across the bridge leads us perfectly into our next meme. What we were talking about earlier there. Check this out. So it says, and this is why locals can't rely on Rome. This map shows the exact location of buses, 3:06 p.m. on Monday on Family Day. Yeah, they're all just stuck across the bridge. They're all just stuck up. Like, it's seriously, that's at the gondola, I think.
Well, I think to kind of rip on Rome for having
There's
to
nothing they can do.
experience traffic is really not the best point to
Yeah,
have.
there's nothing they can do about it, but I
Yeah,
get
like-
it. They're all just jammed up in Valley View, just sitting there, probably just waiting.
Which
I bet
is
the lineup was.
understandable.
I bet the lineup was that far back.
Now, again, with the bus delays, like my one big point for me is okay, you
Just
got
walk. Just don't take the bus.
well, no, you got 2 lanes going southbound, right? You only got 1 coming back up over the bridge. So either way, no matter what, you can let more cars go across the bridge than you can coming back.
Good point.
So regardless, there's going to be a traffic issue. Now, once upon a time, I spent some time living in Vancouver, a couple of months. Didn't really enjoy it. Banff's so much better, by the way. But they have these things in downtown areas where the middle lane of traffic is alternating. So they have signs above the lane. So at some points
Right.
throughout the day, it's going southbound. And at other points throughout the day, it's going northbound to fit the demand or the need. Now, if that type of infrastructure would be possible to make that middle lane of Banff Ave,
Right.
go both ways, or now that we have
But
both the
could you
pedestrian
imagine-
bridges, eliminate the
Could you
sidewalks.
imagine
and make
tourist
it-
drivers trying to figure out the same lay going two different directions when we got people driving down by the Banff sign?
Again,
Like-
they do it in a major city, so I don't see why it's not possible in a small town. Like, that's kind of just one little solution that I kind of had in my mind. But again, that goes with putting
Right.
signage up and stuff, which I think would kind of ruin that look of the bridge. But like maybe having on those super busy summer days an attendant there that can then switch the lanes from northbound to southbound
Exactly.
to let 2 lanes of traffic come back over the bridge, like that I think is the only way to fix that issue. Like 2 lanes going over versus 1 lane coming back. Like that's just the simple math that doesn't add up for me.
Yeah. Like you're putting all those cars over there and then making it half the lanes to get back. It's like, what do you
100%.
expect, man?
Or another way to get back so that if one's too congested, people can
Right.
use a secondary bridge that they could drive their vehicles on.
Right.
Or you ban the vehicles on that side altogether, besides tourists that have hotel reservations, gondola reservations for,
Then that's
physically disabled people.
That's just a whole nother deal.
Of
That's
course,
just a
and
whole nother deal.
you have to have like a Parks Canada booth on the bridge or like,
Well,
you
I don't know. And then at that point, you're like, well, then you got to pay all these extra staff to do all this extra crap. That I don't know. I don't think there's
spitballing
any
here,
easy result
you
there,
know?
but
But yeah, I don't know. That's kind of the idea that I had was a rotating lane on the bridge because I feel like without having people coming back that way, it's just not going to happen.
right. Yeah, exactly. But,
Anyways, but yeah, if you're taking the bus, especially on a long weekend, I wouldn't recommend it, especially if your job requires a strict starting time.
oh, yeah.
You're better off walking. Take a bike. Do something. You can bike in the winter.
Oh, yeah.
Believe
Well,
it or
and the
not.
walk up there is not that bad right now, I'm sure. But
For sure. So yeah, I don't know. Big shout out to the Rome workers. Everyone's working hard to deal with the traffic issues. Could you imagine if your job, like, taxi drivers,
well,
Rome
especially
people,
on
like-
Rome, like you're on a time limit, right? So now your time limit's fucked, and you're just like, well, I'm sorry, man, I'm an hour late. Like, what do you want me to do?
Like,
I'm in
yeah,
gridlock. I'm in
you know?
gridlock traffic. It's
the
not
bus
like
driver doesn't want to make you late. Like,
it's
the
not
bus
like
driver,
they're just dicking. It's not like they're dicking around. They're just like, what do you expect them to do? Drive on the sidewalk to go around traffic because they're a city bus? Like,
Yeah, so like I agree with the post that it is pretty crazy that all the buses are stuck over there,
Yeah,
and
but
of
like-
course it's kind of funny to chuckle at. But I think it's maybe a little bit of misplaced rage to Rome. Big shout out to them. They provide a very valuable service,
Yeah, no
especially it
doubt.
being free. I don't know of any other communities in town where you can
Yeah,
just go
no
sign up for a
doubt.
bus pass. So
yeah, that's awesome.
one of the good things that the mayor has provided, we spent a lot of this episode talking about negatives of it, but hey, free buses. If you live in Banff, go get your bus pass. It's free. You can sign up. You can get stuck on the other side of the bridge on a busy weekend if you choose to,
Oh God, that's awesome. All right, well, moving on. What do we got here?
Oh boy. Okay. This one here. So
This one got heated.
this was a
This one
heated
got
comment
heated.
section for sure. Again, another post from our beloved page Overheard in Banff. This is someone ripping on a ham and cheese croissant. So it's a ham and cheese croissant, and it says, the caption here reads, "My not so ham and cheese croissant at blank blank. We're not going to name the business." And then
Obviously
it
not.
follows by a boo. Honestly, we'll get into some specifics about this post. First of all, there's ham, there's
Oh, yeah.
cheese, it's a croissant, not mentioned in the header. It's $5.
Yeah, no doubt. If it had
Um,
butter on it, it would be perfect.
That's
It
what I
would
mean.
be. It would be absolutely perfect. I would have just grabbed some butter.
Person who posted this was like, no mayo, no mustard, whatever. Like, all that stuff is
I-
provided if you ask the
Yeah.
person running the
I
store.
saw that too. Somebody else was like, "Dude, you could have asked the guy for some mustard if you wanted it." Like,
You
would
know
it-
what I mean?
Like, have you ever put mustard on a sandwich and then wrapped it up? Because like, it's not a good time in about 2 hours. You just have wet mustard bread.
Like, I get it. It's a pretty.
But croissants are expensive as fuck. Where else are you gonna get a croissant for $5 anyways?
That's what I mean. It's a pretty plain looking sandwich to, I guess, the high standard haver. If you go to any bakery, you want to get like a plain chocolate croissant that's with no toppings in it, you're paying $6 to $7.
Oh
for
yeah,
that.
and that's got like like a tiny stick of like chocolate in it.
Exactly.
It's like, what do you want? It's like, oh, there's no fucking chocolate in my croissant. It's like, well, there is. It's like, well, that's not enough. It's like,
And again, this
well, make your
business
own
that
croissant. I don't know, like, yeah.
this business that's mentioned in this post, locally owned and operated.
Oh, I love this business. I used to go there all the time.
I think it's a little bit of maybe someone having high standards for a low priced item. Like for $5, I think that's very valid. This place is not a bakery. They're making sandwiches kind of quick on the go style. And my kind of big issue with this post is this person, instead of talking to the owner about it, they blasted him on social media. Like if you have an issue, talk to the business owner.
Just
like,
take it back. Just take it back, man. Like you could see the sidewalk out here too. Like you can tell they're sitting like somewhere right by the park there on one of those benches. Like just walk back in there and be like, "Yo, bro, can I get some mayo for this?" Like hook it up.
Again, I read through the comments on this one, and one thing that I think I really wanted to mention is the owner of the business actually reached out and said that and was like, "Hey, man, like if you had a problem, you could have just said something to me and I would have fixed it."
I used to go in there all the time and he knew what I wanted and shit. Like the guy's a legend.
Yeah, but the dude that posted it interacted with everyone else that was commenting, saying that maybe his post is a little misplaced, calling them names and blah blah blah. And then when the owner comments something to maybe been like, "Hey, like talk to me, rectify the issue," he didn't answer.
He just ignored it.
Ignored the owner. So like the person that you're trying to shame actually responds to you, and then you decide to not engage with them. Like, what's the point? You just want to be a cool guy on social media? Like,
they're just looking to shitpost, man.
I don't know.
They're looking to shitpost, man. That's all it is.
I think the shade is more on you, the poster, than the person who made the sandwich. So big shout out to the business owner. And yeah, we all saw this post. It's funny.
I kind of want a croissant with ham and cheese.
Yeah, it's kind of looking tasty. We're getting close to dinner time right now. I could do a little ham and cheese croissant. We'll see you soon for one, man. I might ask you for some mustard.
Oh, yeah. All the mustard you want, man. Free.
Know what I'm saying?
Free charge. All right, moving on.
So this next one here was a post from someone on Overheard in Banff that was looking to speak to someone in regards with the housing situation in Banff. It was born and raised in Banff and now works for a CTV reporter. Comment below if you're available. So, hey, that post is still gaining traction. I don't know if it's ended up in an interview or not. It might have had something to do with what they were filming. I think it was yesterday they were filming it. Yeah, it was yesterday they were filming it, but we're going to touch on that a little bit later. So yeah, if you are looking to have your voice heard on the housing crisis, it looks like someone from CTV is looking for your opinion. So go ahead on and interact with that post if you want to talk about our beautiful town on national TV.
Oh, and like as soon as it got posted, the comments were just like, "Oh, hey, me." Like
lots of people looking to share their views, and again, there's lots of different perspectives in this town on housing and what's happening and where we need to go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well. Quick and short with that one. Check this next one out. This is good. So yeah, someone put up headlamps on the waterfall Cascade Mountain at night. Climber rescue. I'm like, yeah, a night climb, definitely.
Definitely
if
a night climb.
If that was a rescue, they'd be helicopters, and they don't do night rescues. So you stay out there. If you're out there overnight. Like you're out there at night, you're staying out there overnight. They'll come get you in the morning.
100%.
Yeah, they don't come out there in the night. So basically, if that's your headlamp and you were up there and stuck, I hope they came and got you in the morning. But
I feel like this isn't the first time I've seen a post like this. I feel like when conditions are good for ice climbing, it's a very popular route. And for those that are kind of listening in and aren't seeing the visuals, it's the Cascade waterfall that we're looking at. Basically, I guess a few weeks ago, the ice had reformed after the thaw and it was primed for climbing. And it's pretty cool. You can see a couple of headlamps kind of looking around the sides and stuff. And that's got to be a wild view from up there.
Oh God, I wouldn't go up there to save my life, but I would imagine it's amazing. You're seeing all of town basically from up there.
I do have plans to reach out to hopefully someone that has done it, and we can ask them their perspective about it. I think kind of ice climbing is one of those like just out there crazy hobbies and one that you can pretty much only do in this part of Canada. I don't know where else
are you going to do it? It doesn't get cold enough. There's no ice that's vertical like that, I guess. I don't know, but
a very cool kind of subsect of living in Banff is the climbing and ice climbing community. And like, I don't know, I think I'm pretty extreme with my snowboarding and touring. Like, these guys are nuts.
If you look at the comment here, another big scene is also the clubbing scene. So yeah, night climb, that's a popular spot. But what if it was a nightclub up there?
I think, night. It does kind of
Somebody had a rave going up there. They had full set of decks. They had the lights out and just like going to town up there.
It does give little ravey vibes with with the headlamps for sure.
Oh God, that's great.
The next post here that we're going to talk about, Not super funny. I crossed this one on a different page. It was on Bow Valley Network. Let's cut to it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this one says this dog was found in Safeway parking lot running alone. I have him in Pet Planet Canmore. His name is Zigzag. If you know his owners, please let them know. He's having the time of his life with me and a bone now.
So again, we got a very, very cute dog playing with a bone, and a big shout out to whoever found this dog and let them come into their business and take care and warm them up. Going through the comments of this one is where you kind of get into the sad part of it.
Yeah.
It's weird. So I'm cruising through the comments here. And then one of the comments specifically says, please don't give this dog back. He isn't wanted. Poor pupper. So that got me kind of chasing down the comment stream thinking like, what? What do you mean? Like, how would you know this? Right.
Well, yeah. And like, it's so random that somebody else is finding information about this on another group. So it says right below there, look at the screenshot in the comments above. The guy posted, and then it shows a picture of the screenshot, which is here. Which is from another group, which is from Bow Valley Pets.
So yeah, there's a lost dog post on Bow Valley Pets, and it reads like this. And I think this is the sad part. It says, this moron took off from behind the Safeway at 11 a.m. Sunday, February 18th. If you can have him, if you can find him, just let me know he's safe and transfer chip info. And that's the sad part. Like, what? This owner just gives up on his dog and like, yeah, if you can find him, you can have him. I think
that's fucking dick move, big time.
Yeah,
like,
that's super not cool.
Like, and like, what did he say? He took off from behind Safeway at 11 a.m. They found him in the Safeway parking lot. Like,
someone else gave more time to tracking your dog down than you did. I think you don't deserve the right to have a dog.
No,
like,
thank God.
Somebody
go get this pupper. Buddy. Honestly, he looks like a decent dude. I would hang out with him any day.
Very beautiful dog. Very beautiful.
Like, that's
dog.
just yeah, that's just a dick move. I don't know, man. As a pet owner, that's just like, you just give your pet away because it like,
if you can't deal with your pet, like, I don't know. I agree with, again, at least the silver lining is like, let me know that he's safe and transfer the info. Like, I guess he kind of is admitting defeat in that sense, that he does want to give the dog a proper home. So I guess he can't really come down too hard. But yeah, that post kind of had me fired up, not gonna lie.
Oh yeah, big time. I was like, man, this dog's just like chilling, probably wondering where the fuck his owner is. Like, obviously.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Looks like an active dog. Probably requires a lot of attention and probably a lot of outdoor time and physical activity.
Yeah, no doubt.
A lot of the Bow Valley is apartment-based living. So again, not always ideal for those larger dogs that would probably be best in a yard to run in. So probably, yeah, it sees a chance to take off. It's going to take off. Again, don't want to come down too hard on this person who posted this because we don't know your situation. If you do want help finding your dog a new home, reach out to the pod. We'd love to help you. But yeah, this post kind of had me fired up.
Oh, man. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
On that note, there's tons of great dog owners out there. So, you know, if maybe you need some tips or some training, I'm sure those resources are out there. So there's other options than just giving your dog away. And again, if you want those resources, reach out to us. I'd love to point you in the right direction.
All right, and on to something a little lighter. This one got you fired up when I found this one this week. This is great. This is actually from Regal Fell. This is from a local punk band. These guys are all really good dudes, and they post some really funny shit. And this is one of them here. Go ahead.
So this one here is like, I want to say a photoshopped picture of Canadian Heritage Moments. Now, for all you young people joining us, Canadian Heritage Moments is these commercials that were paid for by the government of Canada that used to play when we were young, and it would be like really important, heartfelt moments about the story of how Canada was founded and all this stuff. This one's photoshopped to be definitely a Banff Heritage Moment, and it's screenshots from the infamous McDonald fight.
Oh, the McRumble, dude.
The McRumble.
Oh, this video went around. Was this on Overheard? This must have been it was the early days of Overheard, I believe. And this video, oh my God. So I think there was about 10 guys here, all of them just brawling out in McDonald's. Obviously dropped a bunch of sodas on the floor.
Big time.
People are slipping all over the place. This kid comes in and what did he kick somebody? Or
He
like
tries to. I think it's like
he came in and tried to like ninja kick somebody and ended up landing on his face. He slipped out on the pop and like landed on his face, almost laid himself out.
now. I'm pretty sure it's John Chu that caught this action. So like,
Oh, is
big
it?
shout out to John Chu for catching
Chu,
this, or at
good
least he
work.
posted it. I don't know if he got it from someone else, but it's a bunch of city slicking looking dudes that are obviously kicking off a fight in the McDonald's. Now,
Oh yeah. This used to happen all the time though. Not like I don't think people understand how often shit like this would go down in McDonald's.
especially at the McDonald's. They have
Oh, yeah.
security there now, I think. It's just wild that a restaurant needs security. But so there's about 10 of these dudes, and they're all dressed kind of real city slicky like. And I think it's a Fruitopia. So Fruitopia hits the deck,
Yeah.
and they're all trying to land these huge haymakers on each other, but no one can get the footing because they're in like slides and socks, and like
they're
they're
just
trying to
all
beat
over,
each
yeah.
other up, but no one can kind of land a punch because they're slipping all over the place, which is hilarious.
Oh, they just looked like a bunch of 5-year-old kids just drunk on like cherry whiskey,
Just, like,
trying to
Pushing each
trying to
other
beat
around,
each other
trying to
up.
fight, but they
Oh,
couldn't.
it was
get
great.
to it.
They were sliding, slipping all over the place.
So after seeing that video, I go into the McDonald's, I want to say like less than a week later, and I'm talking to the lady. I'm like, I gotta know, did you guys throw the Fruitopia on the ground, or did the fighting guys knock that over? Because I was like, that's a perfect fight breaks out. Just throw an extra large Coke or whatever down there. No one can fight anymore. Like
no one can land a single punch. Just
exactly.
deactivated.
I
Fight
thought-
deactivated.
100%.
that.
I thought it was a pretty good like.
Chuck a couple milkshakes down there. Just get everybody sliding all over the place. It'd be
Exactly.
great.
It's a good de-escalation
Oh, yeah.
technique. It's like probably easier to clean Fruitopia than it is blood off the floor. So
Oh, big time. Oh, that kid like dummied himself off the floor when he hit the ground. Like
Yeah,
he slid
man,
out
so-
like both feet in the air, like ass tea kettle, like just dummied him. But
So hopefully one day we can get John Chu on here, talk a little bit more. If it was him that captured it, I'd love to kind of know more of the origins of this video.
Well,
We can dive into
I
that
think
eventually.
everybody's had like a weird McDonald's story. I remember being in there at 10 a.m. the one day, and there was this kid just drunk, just passed out in one of the booths. It was like 10 a.m.
Do you think he's there from the night before?
I don't know.
They'd kick you out.
Yeah, they would kick you out. So like the staff were out there trying to like wake him up. I'm like, I'll try to wake him up. So I go over and like start clapping, and this like nothing. This kid was passed out, and they ended up calling the cops. The cops like couldn't
Jeez.
even wake him up. They came in and like had to call paramedics, and the kid was just like dummied. He was like blackout drunk.
Damn,
Like,
sounds scary. Imagine
just-
that's the last thing you do before you black out when you're that fucked up is you want a McDonald's.
And then he didn't even get it because you're too blacked out. You just
Oh,
passed out in
that's
the
a
booth.
double
Oh,
shame.
it was great. But all right, well, we got another one here. This one's a little more community oriented, I suppose.
All right, this one here is a kind of a little, just a heads up on Overheard in Banff, telling everyone that the Banff National Park Planning Forum is going to be on Wednesday, February the 28th at the BPL. Now, it does share a link to an Eventbrite. I got my ticket. I'm going to try to attend that event.
Nice.
I
be
got to
good.
work that night, but I'll figure that out on my end. Yeah, this is just kind of a 2 or 3 hour meeting at the Banff Park Lodge that kind of touches base on where the town of Banff and Banff National Park want to move forward to. Yeah, I'm excited. I've never gone to one of these like town
Nice.
or community forums, so I'm excited to see what it's all about. But I'll be there taking notes, of course.
Well, yeah, obviously.
Just to be kind of more into the scene and kind of know what's going on in the town from the source rather than reading it secondhand from comments on Facebook and stuff. So yeah, I think it could be cool just to kind of get
Nice.
more insight on where the town's going. If anyone else wants to go, it was super easy to sign up. You just kind of follow the link they have on Eventbrite. It doesn't cost you anything.
Yeah.
I think they just want kind of know how many seats to set up and all that. So
I'm sure they'll touch base on all the street or the Banff Ave closure and all that, of course. Big time.
100%. I think the pedestrian zone might be talked about, and as well as the train station, the ARP might definitely be talked about there. So that's kind of
That new development that they're talking about out there.
yeah. So I definitely want to go kind of get my ear to the ground on that. So
Yeah, sweet.
we'll keep
It's a
you
good
guys
idea.
posted on what happens kind of the week after. I'll have some notes for you all.
Nice. Oh, this next one's good. I love this. So last week they were doing controlled burns in town, as we all know.
Yeah.
And this must have been I don't know. This had to have been a tour. I don't know why someone would have. Maybe it was an employee, or I don't know.
It
Anyways,
looks like it's from like the top floor of the Fairmont.
Fairmont, yeah.
So
But anyways, someone goes, where they go, "Does anyone know what is causing this fire slash smoke?" And the first comment, "Sorry, I'm creating a new mixtape." Second comment, "Fire." It's like only an overheard Banff kid you like post something serious. You're like, "Oh man, is there like a serious forest fire around?" And somebody just goes, "Fire."
We do have to say that "Sorry, I'm creating my new mixtape" has 103 likes or laugh reacts.
105 when I screen capped it. Oh, it's so great.
What a hilarious comment.
Oh, just absolutely fire.
Everyone around town, you might have been noticed some smoke, especially coming from the Fairmont, Middle Springs, other side of the bridge area. This is fire prevention that's being done by contractors hired from the town of Banff. It's a program called Fire Smart. Yeah, we will have a guest coming on, not next episode, the episode after. I got Louis, buddy of mine. We used to work together back in the day at Tony Roma's, actually.
Oh,
turns
Tony
out,
Roma's.
Yeah, it turns out he's one of the contractors that's doing the burning.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, so the smoke that you can see in that picture is actually a result of his mixtape. No, it's just the work that they're doing. Again, with the low levels of precipitation that we're having this year, wildfires being a big issue moving into the spring season. Now, we're not fully in the spring season yet. March and April are normally our highest precipitation months where we get the most snow. But again, town is just doing some precautionary brush burning.
I know they usually do it every winter. They'll do it somewhere. Last year they were doing it. Oh, all the woods out behind Northwoods there.
Very true.
Yeah, they cleared and burnt all that brush last year, and
so don't freak out.
It is what it is.
If you're going around the town of Banff and you see some kind of smoke going up, you'll know if it's an emergency for sure.
It was pretty gnarly though. The other day, I popped out into the alleyway for a smoke there, and
it's noticeable for sure.
It was gnarly. And then Ricky's like, "Oh yeah, the helicopters are flying around." He's like, "Maybe it was another out of controlled burn after that one last year."
No, I don't think any of these ones have gotten out of control yet. But yeah, we will have one of the contractors in here that is doing the burning. So again, we're going to kind of educate everyone as well as ourselves on what's going on over there, why it's necessary. Because a lot of the comments are like, "Why are they burning? It's national park." But I mean, a little bit of burning saves a lot of burning down the road where homes might get in the way.
If you've ever been out here for a summer through the fire season, you know, like last year wasn't too bad. We didn't get it too bad at all, but there was a couple of years there where it was just an absolute smoke out, like absolute smoke out.
I think fire prevention is always a concern, not only for the town of Banff, but for everyone in drier climates or increasingly drier climates these days. And yeah, we can't wait to talk to Louis to kind of dive more into what fire prevention in this town looks like and where they're kind of taking it as far as a plan from a town perspective.
Yeah, no doubt. And like, how do they control a fire that size? Because they're not small.
Definitely
they're not small fires. That's a lot of smoke coming up.
I think part of this, it might have been part of the same program or part of a very similar program was last summer. They were offering people to come down to, I think it was like the town hall or something, and you can get a sprinkler system that attaches to your faucet. So in case of uncontrolled forest fires, you can sync it up or hook your hose up to the sink in your house. Then the whole idea is you throw this sprinkler on the roof of your house so that you can run the water from your sink to give protection to the outside of your home, which I think was a very cool idea. And that was something the town was providing for free.
Oh, that's
through
cool for sure.
I think it's through the Fire Smart program. Again, Louis will be able to tell us more about that.
Well, even with that uncontrolled or out of controlled burn last year, that was crazy. Like that got pretty close to town.
It did. And again, it burned like some of the stables and I think a town of Banff sign down there. But again, like that's why they do these things, right? To keep bigger things from happening down the road. So yeah, can't wait to touch on that with Louis and dive into more on fire prevention and what we can do as a town to kind of help.
No doubt. Well, on to some good news on the housing crisis side.
Finally, that sounds weird to say. Good news from the housing crisis.
I know. I'm sorry, but yeah, here we are. Banff receives $4.6 million in federal housing cash to spur the development. Looks like it's going to help out. Kind of just with developing more residencies and. I mean,
so I've been researching this because I think it just broke. I think on Family Day Monday, they had a little bit of a press conference down at the new development. So basically, the federal government has approved, I want to say like $13 or $14 million to upgrading infrastructure specifically for housing in certain communities. Now,
Right.
Banff is one that applied and got accepted.
I heard
And
Canmore as well applied.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm not sure whether Canmore got accepted or if they just applied, but I know that Banff specifically, like it says here, receiving $4.6 million in federal housing cash. So that's definitely a push in the right direction. Again, Family Day Monday, great time to release that news from the town
No
of
doubt.
Banff.
Yeah, hopefully they put that to good use on some affordable housing.
Now this
would be
this,
nice.
Yeah, this little screenshot that we got here, this is from an article from the Calgary Herald, and a little caption here. It says it's going to help us move the needle on our housing action plan, and ultimately it's going to help stimulate new housing in Banff. And I think that's the bottom line: is what this town needs is more.
Yeah, we need it.
We need more apartments. We need more infrastructure, more infrastructure to handle with traffic, and
Right.
then housing for staff. Of course, that's a
even
huge thing.
without adding more commercial space to Banff, we still don't have enough residencies for people to live.
100%.
There's no vacant. It's not like a regular town. You go looking for an apartment and you go look at 10 of them. Here it's you put an ad in or you put a reply in on 10 different apartment ads, and then
And you pray for one.
you pray that somebody messages you back, and then you go see it, and then you hope that it's okay or that they accept your application, because once you go see it and you say you want it, they've still got to accept you as a tenant anyways.
For sure.
Here it's like you pretty much taking whatever you can find.
Absolutely. It's
So-
definitely not in the buyer's market, so to speak. You kind of just
No
take what
doubt.
you're given
Oh yeah.
and put up with some horrendous stuff. But yeah, I did pull some other kind of stats from this. So I guess the housing minister, Sean Fraser, was in Banff on Monday. This is when they were announcing it, to announce the $4.6 million deal with the municipality. Now, our mayor, Corey DeMano, said that the federal money is going to help inspire some bold changes to Banff's municipal policies that could include removing parking requirements for new housing developments, and increasing the height of residential buildings, all while being mindful of the mountain views. So I think that's encouraging. Again,
Right.
we haven't had very much encouraging news on the housing crisis since we've started this podcast. It's
Well,
kind of
no,
nice to
yeah.
mix it up and talk about something positive for a change. Now, yeah, that little unveiling they had was at the new TNU building, which is just a few blocks from the studio,
Is
actually.
that the one they built out of containers, out of shipping containers?
I'm not 100% sure. I haven't looked at that one up close. It's just smaller apartments that's necessary. We need to take big spaces and turn them into small apartments. Unfortunately, that's
Well,
what it
there's
is.
no really. I mean, unless you've got an apartment or a space in a house that's divided up, there's no real big apartments in Banff.
Well, we're going to go through those points a little bit later, but there is incentive for current homeowners to develop income properties or rental suites. So I think they're easing up on a bunch of regulations, as well
okay.
as maybe even offering financial incentive for
That'd be
local homeowners to include kind of separate dwellings into their residences where possible.
Well, that'd be cool.
Yeah. So again, making a push to develop some housing is great. Here's another little excerpt from this article here. It says, I think this is another quote this is a quote from the mayor. It says, in Banff, we are effectively at a 0% rental vacancy in this town, and we know that we have a shortfall of 700 to 1,000 homes, which is huge. We can definitely do with 700
So-
to 1,000 more homes.
When they say shortfall, they mean we need another 700 to 1,000 homes to accommodate the people that we have.
100%. We are lacking 700 to 1,000 homes. Which again, at least it's good that the mayor recognizes this. It's being spoken about finally. Some kind of reprieve hopefully is on the way. Now, there's a lot that goes into that too. There's like federal land zoning, there's town land zoning. A lot of that stuff's going to have to be talked about and discussed. And I think I don't foresee much going forward without more space being allotted to residential. It's the only way we're going to have.
Well, what about out in the industrial compound there? Because they built that big apartment complex there. That's another
100%.
But then you run into the train crossing issue, the tracks crossing issue with CP police standing out there giving people tickets. It's like, well, these people live out here, man. It's Banff. Like, if you move here,
Again, there's railway a railway crossing that could be done, either overpass or underpass, which is definitely an option. If there's more development out there, then I don't see why not, right?
Just put the gates, like just have pedestrian gates, like you
you
do on
would
the
a
road.
Yeah, I mean,
just
that's
have them
all
come
it
down
would
when a
take.
train's coming. Like it's not that hard. I don't know.
Not a bad idea. So yeah, there is space out that way. So more of the industrial compound way. I was thinking also kind of maybe like Rocky Mountain Resort way, or like, you know, the campground, Hidden Ridge style area. There might be some space that we can squeeze some buildings into there that isn't too obstructing of what's already going on.
And like that's not outside of the footprint of Banff, I suppose, right? So that's
exactly. So these are kind of options that could be explored. Furthering some of this stuff here, it says the federal funding of $4.66 million in Banff is a catalyst for town-led projects, such as a new 250 home project being planned for just east of the new Tinu residence. So that's, again, great news. Another 250 home dwelling that's going to be built.
Well, that's a decent little, that's a quarter of the way there.
Definitely. That's a good start for sure. Now, of course, building homes takes time, and it's not a 2-year or 3-year thing. It's probably like a 5 or a 10-year thing.
Now, are these going to be homes, or like you can't? There's not that many single homes.
I mean, it's definitely not going to be single homes. It's probably going to be apartments.
That's going to be apartments
or a collection of apartment buildings. I would assume for 250, right?
Yeah, you can't. That's a lot. Even if you're doing duplexes and fourplexes and stuff, that's a lot of space, a lot of development room
for sure. So again, I can't wait to see it. More development beside the T new apartment buildings. Let's get more housing. That's great.
Well, we need it, man. Like, there's nothing you can do to get around that. Like they even said it themselves, they're 1,000 residencies short.
Now the Banff Housing Action Plan also targets a few other things, and we're going to kind of go through them here. Matt, you want to bring us through a couple?
Yeah, so reducing setbacks from property lines to maximize floor area and increasing height limits. So I think what they're referring to there is the bylaw where I believe it's 3 stories you can build.
3 stories is the cap, yes.
So I think that's what they're referring to there is maybe increasing the height limits, maybe have a 4th story there if possible. That would accommodate. I know in my apartment here, what do we got? 10, 12 apartments per floor.
Exactly.
So that's, so that's another 12, 12 families that you could have in there at least. That's a way to get around it. But then when do we start stepping over it? And then we got 6, 7, 8 story, 10-story buildings in town, and that's exactly what we don't want, right?
For sure. I think it's allowing it where it's possible. Like if you look at some places like Tatanga that are kind of sitting nestled into the mountain where you're not obscuring any views, you can probably build up a little bit more.
Right.
And I think the creating setbacks from the property line. So I think that's maybe like being able to maximize your build space all the way up to the property line versus before there was probably a buffer zone where you couldn't fill your whole property with a building.
Yeah, generally you'll have a setback from basically the sidewalk or wherever the edge of the town property is. You can't build within so many feet of that just for aesthetics looks. That's why when you go down the street, you'll notice all the houses are set back the exact same amount
100%
off of the street as each other, right? So
it looks like they're going to ease up on that a little bit. Touching on that, another point is reducing or eliminating parking requirements in new housing projects.
Right.
So I think that's one thing that's probably been in the books for a long time is if you're building new dwellings, you have to build parking for these dwellings, of course. Right. But I think what's noticeably more and more is there's a lot of residents in Banff that don't own vehicles. I know in the unit that I live in, I want to say there's, I think, 32 dwellings, but we only have like 20-something parking spaces, and they're not always full.
No, it's getting to be that way, especially if you're, just getting to town, you're sharing an apartment with 3 other guys. It's, most of these guys show up with a backpack. They're not.
Yeah. So to put it in perspective, could they have put more units down there where the parking lot is, right? So instead of a 32 unit, you have underground units, which are now looking at like an extra 12 to 15 units that you can add on to a dwelling. So I think that's kind of what they're going to be easing up on, as well as not enforcing the same amount of parking space for the amount of people, which again is a step in the right direction, a solution, as long as not every single person living there has a vehicle. Which again hasn't been an issue in a building like my building, for an example, where there always seems to be at least one space open to park your car.
Right.
So,
right. Well, and they're also looking at putting in taxes for vacant and undeveloped property, right? So they've got a chunk of land that's just sitting there. I think what they're talking about there is maybe increasing their property tax for vacant lots so that entices people to develop quicker instead of sitting there for 5 years waiting for the prices to go up, or
And I think we have seen, especially since like there are a few, like there's a couple of like abandoned boarded up houses that I've seen in town that always have had notices on them that are like, they're obviously owned by someone,
right,
and they're waiting to be developed, but that's probably, you're right, incentive to get them moving on those projects to get housing up, which is a great.
Well, remember that lot there on Wolf and Bear, where Hello Sunshine and that is now, that lot, that place sat there forever.
That
man.
did see.
What was that restaurant called? It was I can't remember.
Why am I not thinking about it? I used to go there all the time.
Jay used to work there, I think. But now I got you.
So
now
bad.
It's gonna bug you. But anyways, that lot sat there for years, man. That was there for sure. Probably that closed down when I first moved here, and then it sat there till just before COVID.
Yeah, I heard a rumor about that lot. Apparently, the lady that owned that lot refused to sell it to the company that was building the mall on some like moral issues.
Yeah, so they just built the mall around. They built the mall around that restaurant.
Could you imagine someone just comes and builds like a huge mall right outside your building? Hilarious. Good for that person for standing up for what they believe in.
Great. I love it. That just goes to show you what happens in Banff. Like the locals just. Yeah, they're like, nah, man, sorry, that
was a huge part of Banff for a long time. What are the other points here? There's like strengthening Banff's policy that require businesses to build new homes or to pay the town cash in lieu for future home building when they expand or change commercial use and need more workers. So again, this is a kind of a contradicting point in itself, right? Because the town wants to demand businesses, if they're expanding, to build more homes or to pay a cash penalty to go towards home building.
Right.
Yet they want to close the pedestrian zone and have patios, which is all going to require
more housing,
more staff. So again, this point kind of brings out a little bit of the hypocrisy. I feel it's kind of placed with the pedestrian zone closure, and
that's just part of opening a business in Banff, depending on what type of business it is and which type of business license you have. If you own a business where you need staff, most of those businesses are required to provide housing for their staff, or at least have an option to. So,
exactly.
I'm
that's got to be necessary. It's got to be paramount.
I mean, don't take me verbatim on that, but I know there's some sort of regulation in there. I know Lou, when he was trying to do a tattoo shop or something, he had to have so many units available, or pay a cash fine, basically, that is almost the equivalent to building that many units for future development, and Town of Banff would then allocate that to.
Which is pretty crazy. That's something that I kind of learned today. Was I didn't know that if your business didn't have a staff-a-com, you had to pay a penalty, which is pretty wild. I mean,
it depends on the business license, I guess. But
the final point here is land use changes planned to allow more density and multi-unit developments in all residential zones, and no more new single detached homes in Banff. So we've talked about this phenomenon before.
Right.
Tearing down single-family homes to build apartments and multi-unit.
And they've done it everywhere. They've done it up on Muskrat there, up at the top of the hill. I remember there was 2 or 3 homes there. They turned that into a big complex right at the corner of Martin and like IGA there, that unit there. And it makes sense. I mean, no one can afford these houses anyways. Like, would you like? The average person moving to Banff now can't afford a house. They're $2 million, $3 million.
Now, will these apartments be affordable and available for locals to purchase, or they're going to be owned by big companies, which are then renting them out? Because that could, again, entice other problems. I myself would be more on the side of trying to purchase something. If they had something available, I could put some money down and kind of invest in myself rather than pay a landlord and invest in my landlord every month.
But look at those new units downtown. How much were they going for? I didn't even see
I think on the lower end, like 350, but you
Yeah.
had to kind of abide by some income
Right.
regulations that
Right.
because it was for low income
Right.
people. So
But even 350 grand mortgage for the average
350
person?
to 500, I think, and that's very affordable for the town of Banff. If you're looking
Oh, big
outside
time.
of a low income unit, you're talking $500,000 plus.
No,
So,
more than that, I'd say.
I mean, I'm talking maybe like a 2-bedroom apartment.
Oh,
like,
okay. Yeah.
not for a detached home. Detached
Yeah.
home, nothing under $1 million or 1.2, 1.3.
No,
right?
nobody's buying just single detached homes here. Christ, you can't afford it.
So-
It's not a real thing here. It's like,
So I think it's all good news. Some strengthening of some former regulations and some implementation of new ones, all in the hopes of bringing more housing to Banff, which is what we all want.
right. Exactly. Well put, man. Well put. Well, let's see here. What do we got next week coming up? I think we got a pretty good guest, maybe hiding under the radar here.
Yeah, so this week we got a little bit serious, a little bit more political in the sense of talking about town stuff. Our guest next week's going to be a little bit more on the fun side, a little bit more on the personable side.
Yeah, let's go.
Not personable, but personal side, I want to say. We're having Marcel in.
It's gonna be good,
Yeah.
dude. If you don't know Marcel, I don't know how, but
A fixture of this community in this town for a lot of years. You might know him from working the bar at a few of our favorite bars, rolling around with the Rude Boys,
Oh, yeah.
skateboarding at the skate park, snowboarding up at Sunshine. I see him on the disc golf course a lot these days myself.
he's
I've-
always big into that.
He is part of an initiative, I think, to bring some disc golf to Banff. So that's definitely something that we're going to dive in a lot. I'm looking forward to diving in a lot more with
Oh, that's
Marcel
sick.
next week. So yeah, we're going to lighten things up and have more of a personal issue next week.
And he's got some stories, I'm sure, that
Oh, big time.
you're not going to want to miss. He's been around for a good chunk of time here. He's been around. Well, he's been here ever since I've been here.
Same. I think I remember Marcel from when I first moved to town. We were acquaintances then and kind of grown to know each other a little bit more over the years. But yeah, great dude. He's seen a lot of things. He's done a lot of things in the town of Banff, and I think a great perspective to come here and have a good chat with us in the
Oh
studio.
hell yeah! We're gonna be laughing next week, so be ready.
So yeah, join us next week for Marcel. Big thanks to Bunny. Big thanks to all you guys that joined us today for our 4th episode.
It was great,
yeah,
man.
this is it for this week, and
We'll see you next Tuesday.
Tuesday.